Why can I, the only one with black hair, directly cultivate in the whole world? Why do people have no memory of the gods in the East? Why does that mysterious person say they only have one remaining opportunity? Parallel world. Last chance. I said I am Yi Fan. I, Yi Qingxuan, swear with my divine soul to unite with the power of all immortal families to rebuild the world of the wilderness. Stand up for me. Chapter 001. Parallel World, Immortal University. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Do you know that just now Yang Wei defeated the first-level peacock demon alone, which was a first-level monster that even some senior students couldn't defeat? Yi Fan opened his eyes vaguely. He remembered staying up all night at the internet cafe, but after feeling dizzy, he returned to the classroom. I don't even know if it was a dream or something happened. Until Yi Fan stood up, no one looked at him. After all, he had always been a small and transparent existence. Oh, our sleeping god has woken up. It's really the sun shining in the west. With a burst of laughter, Yi Fan frowned. I saw Yang Wei walking towards me, followed by 3 attendants, with a mischievous smile on his face that was annoying at first glance. But the discussion about Yang Wei defeating a level 1 monster alone still made him a prominent figure in the first grade. Many young children have a deep affection for him. Yi Fan is still a bit confused now. After all, he remembers that he was attending ordinary classes, and now his classmates are not discussing advanced mathematics or line substitution, but rather what to do with monsters, upgrades, and some magical weapons, which makes him confused for a moment. As a prominent figure in the first grade of the school, Yang Wei couldn't let others ignore his existence. The person in front of him actually ignored him, which made him lose face in the eyes of his younger brother and a group of girls. Didn't you hear Yang Xiao talking to you? A discerning little brother immediately recognized Yang Wei's embarrassment and shouted loudly. I know now, he must be feeling scared because of tomorrow's awakening ceremony. Awakening ceremony. At first, Yi Fan felt a bit noisy. After all, this group of people were chattering, especially when he felt like he had traveled through time, but the people around him remained unchanged, as if his memories were not equal to those around him. Just as Yi Fan was planning to continue listening to the following text and obtain more information, he only heard an disharmonious voice coming. Yi Fan. As long as you're willing to be my little brother today, I'll cover you up from now on. Yang Wei's face outlined his charming smile, and he felt that as long as his confident smile appeared, no one could refuse his invitation. Yi Fan squinted his eyes, which were almost closed, and really wanted to pull his mouth out. I'm not interested. Yi Fan said as he walked towards the door. For this narcissist, he didn't want more communication. But in Yang Wei's eyes, Yi Fan's behavior was a natural provocation that he would never forgive. Yang Wei gritted his teeth and said harshly, tomorrow's awakening ceremony, I will press you hard on the ground and rub you hard. Yi Fan had already walked out of the classroom and towards the direction of the dormitory, but couldn't hear what Yang Wei was saying clearly. However, he digested what had just happened and felt like he had traveled through a world of cultivation, which was just like the previous world. The people around him had not changed, but some things were different from before. As for Yang Wei just now, Yi Fan also has an impression. He seems to be a military training model, and he is always lazy, so he is hated by this person. However, Yi Fan is not afraid at all. After all, in school, he is not afraid of causing any trouble. Returning to the dormitory and seeing his roommates, Yi Fan felt a wave of warmth. He didn't know why, but as soon as he arrived at the classroom, he felt sleepy. Several of his roommates were helping him cover up. Although the world may be different from before, he still felt warm. I overslept today, but my roommates didn't call me because I couldn't wake up from sleep. Brother Fan, you're back. The speaker was a chubby little man with glasses. Yi Fan couldn't remember his name and called him Chubby every time. Yi Fan replied lightly and greeted the other 2 roommates before going to bed. Tossed and turned, surprisingly unable to sleep, Yi Fan felt like he had narcolepsy. After all, he used to lie in bed almost instantly, but now he is surprisingly awake. So he sat cross-legged and looked at his roommate reading a book, feeling a sense of novelty. Usually, these few people were either using pesticides or playing fast cars, but now they were reading one by one, and Xiao Peng was even talking on the phone with his family. This kid, doesn't he just call home every Monday when he needs his living expenses? Regarding this, Yi Fan remembered that he seemed to have never called his family since coming to college. Mainly because Yi Fan doesn't know what illness he has, he feels drowsy every day. As long as he sits or lies down, he can even die than a pig sleeping. Opening the chat box, Yi Fan found the page of the loving family in the list and thought about his sister Yi Qinghe. After all, this girl has been clinging to him since childhood, and since going to college, she hasn't sent a single message. After waiting for 5 minutes, Yi Fan felt something was wrong. After all, it was almost evening, and this little girl didn't steal her phone. Yi Fan's younger sister is 1 year younger than him, but Yi Fan feels that the two of them were not born to the same mother. After all, his younger sister feels like she hasn't studied, but her grades are excellent. Yi Fan crossed his legs and habitually closed his eyes, feeling refreshed and refreshed. He had never felt this before, as if he was in a hot spring, surrounded by water. Brother Fan, wake up. Yi Fan opened his eyes. He had just felt like he was in the void, being mercilessly scorched by the sun, but he didn't feel any pain on his body, as if there was infinite power enveloping him. You finally woke up, Brother Fan, the chubby man said excitedly. You'll wake up in 5 minutes. Looking at the excited fat man in front of him, Yi Fan was suddenly surprised, but realized that it was already the second day. Yi Fan didn't have time to reminisce about the wonderful feeling before. He got out of bed, put on his slippers, and walked out with the fat man. Fatty guy, your hair. You said that I just woke up with red hair color, which is the lowest level of hair color. The chubby man's face deteriorated, and his expression was self-evident. Yi Fan did not inquire too much about this. After all, some things are innate, and talent is the same. On the flag-raising platform Ao Lai, orange hair. The physique of a real dragon. It's another special physique, but this aptitude is average, destined to not achieve much success. A group of leaders sighed on stage. Excuse me, is there anyone in class 10 of grade 1 who hasn't woken up yet? The teacher on stage was urging. There are a total of 5,000 students in a grade, and about 20,000 teachers and students in the entire school. According to a person's 30-second awakening time, it also takes more than half a day to queue. But awakening personnel are not so polite. After all, after so many years of awakening, it is difficult to have good candidates in such ordinary universities. If not, let the next class come. My time is precious. The teachers and principals on stage were full of smiles, and the awakening master in front of them not only brought awakening sculptures that could help others awaken, but also was a great magician. Everyone is respectful about this. There are professions such as mage and fighter, and their realms are junior apprentice, intermediate apprentice, senior apprentice, great mage, holy demon master, divine demon master, etc. The awakening master looked arrogant. After all, most of the teachers of this kind of thing were senior apprentices, and even great wizards were rare, so he didn't care at all. Just as the teacher on stage was preparing to call for the list of the next class, Yi Fan quietly rushed over. Wait, teacher, we're here. The fat man walked past the first-grade freshman with a head of red hair, looking exceptionally eye-catching. I saw the teacher's displeasure on his face. After all, he had shouted twice and now he came calmly, which made him somewhat embarrassed in front of the leaders. Yi Fan strode towards the place near the sculpture on the stage, and the teacher no longer thought too much. After all, he was also a student of his own school, so it's better to do less with more. So he repeated what he should have said before each awakening. Please place your right hand on the great goddess of wisdom, she will lead you towards the light. Yi Fan frowned. Goddess of wisdom. Isn't that Athena from the west? How can we help the students of Dragon Kingdom awaken? But in front of everyone's eyes, he didn't hesitate and placed his hand in front of the statue of Athena. A burst of strong light came, making everyone present unable to open their eyes. Their eyes instinctively avoided each other, and those who were closer had an impulse to kneel down. As the strong light flashed by, everyone looked towards the awakening platform and saw Yi Fan standing in the same place. Fan, Fan. The fat man's voice was somewhat incredulous. But Yi Fan looked bewildered. After all, a group of people looked at him. Is he really handsome? Although I didn't wash my hair in the morning, as long as I wake up, that hair seems to have life and magic, it can't be too ugly. So Yi Fan looked at the teacher standing next to him and saw that the teacher had gathered a small ice mirror and handed it to him. Yi Fan was also surprised. I saw a soy egg in the mirror, and it fell on the ground without holding it firmly in my hand. The shattered ice surface is like Yi Fan's heart, breaking apart. Do you have any cultivation qualifications? Thinking of Yang Wei's face, he felt a chill. Awakening Master, may I ask what the situation is? A group of people looked at the Awakening Master with questioning eyes, and even the members of the school board had encountered this situation for the first time. The Awakening Master shook his head, but still took out his communication device, as if contacting his superiors. In the end, everyone waited for 5 minutes until a sentence from the Awakening Master broke the tranquility. Yi Fan, with green hair and no special constitution. Everyone looks unbelievable. Green hair, that's the same hair color as a great wizard. There are also differences between the same hair color, just like red, there are both vermilion and bright red. Although looking at Yi Fan's bald head, everyone still couldn't believe it, no one came forward to question what the great wizard said. The awakening ceremony quietly came to an end, while Yi Fan was lost in thought by the school's lakeside at the moment. After taking off the cap, the soy egg reflected by the lake is faintly emitting light. Yi Fan smiles bitterly. He still wants to cross the different world, or this parallel world. He should show his grand plan, but he has not started yet. All the students who awakened their hair color participated in the division of classes based on their physical fitness and qualifications, while Yi Fan was more casual and randomly selected a summoner class, which was the most unpopular class in the whole school. Although the awakening master said he had a green-haired physique, no one believed him. After all, everyone still saw his bald head when he woke up. Most students have red and orange hair, and majors such as knights, warriors, and magicians are popular in schools, so most people apply in this direction. Chapter 002. Hair Loss, Green Qualification. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Are you hatching eggs here? Upon hearing this voice, Yi Fan's head swelled with excitement. Li Xiaoyue, one of the influential figures in the first grade. She has a petite figure, but her strength is not small at all. Every man who passes by will unconsciously gaze at her, with eyes and hair in an extremely prominent purple color. That is the top talent, and in the future, she can achieve the level of a saint or even a god. Because he was always lazy during military training, one time when he was resting in place, Yi Fan sat down and leaned back, leaning against a soft surface. Yi Fan didn't know why at that time, and even rubbed his head, and the result was predictable. On the same night, the female demon who had offended Li was squatting at the entrance of the boys' dormitory, and Yi Fan was almost locked outside. But Yi Fan doesn't have time to care about her now. He still has too many things to figure out, and sitting by the lake can make him feel relaxed. Seeing that Yi Fan ignored her, Li Xiaoyue immediately became furious. Since she detected her top-level qualifications, others rushed to please her, and she was the only daughter of the Li family head in Haicheng, which made her feel a little displeased. The young masters of other families are all kind and even want to marry themselves, but this guy seems indifferent to himself. Li Xiaoyue lowered her head and looked, but she couldn't see her feet. Isn't it said that men like things that can't see their feet? Yi Fan ignored the crazy woman's strange behavior and touched his bald head, intending to leave. His heart twitched and he said, "Li Mo, beautiful woman, I'll ask you something." Li Qiaoyue didn't hear what the other person was saying clearly, but the beautiful woman still entered her ears clearly, indicating that she was still very charming. "Although this guy in front of me doesn't have any good qualities, no prominent family, no particularly handsome appearance, and is 178 meters tall, as long as I submit to myself, I can still consider, after all, although hair is gone, it can still grow, but I don't know if it can be cultivated." While thinking about it, Li Qiaoyue still asked calmly, "Ask me, there's nothing miss I don't know yet," Li Qiaoyue said confidently, but when she thought of the other person's bald head, she really didn't know the reason, and even her own father didn't know. "Do you know about the Tathagata Buddha and the Jade Emperor?" Yi Fan originally intended to say some small gods, afraid that the other party would not know them. After all, the awakening ceremony, if it were to worship the gods of the Dragon Kingdom, should not be a goddess of wisdom, at least like Bodhisattva and Erlang God. Moreover, Yi Fan remembered that in his original world, some households had bodhisattvas, guaniri, and door gods attached to their doors. Yi Fan, on the other hand, saw along the way that there were no spring festival couplets in the school, no trace of gods, and even the school's history books did not record them. Does this make Yi Fan feel afraid that all the gods in the world have disappeared? What Buddha, what emperor? Li Qiaoyue thought that Yi Fan would ask him the reason for his hair loss, and was a bit nervous because she didn't know, but what the other party was talking about was the Jade Emperor and the Buddha. Although Li Qiaoyue didn't know what Yi Fan was talking about, it might be some kind of playful character. I couldn't help but feel a little disappointed on my face. Although my talent is not as good as mine, I still don't work hard. Even if my father came to my door, he couldn't agree. I may really be different from him. Yi Fan is not in the mood to guess the girl's thoughts now. After all, at this moment, Yi Fan feels a trace of energy in his dantian in his lower abdomen. Although it is very small, the feeling is very clear. Yi Fan's intuition makes him feel that it is this strand of energy that keeps his hair from changing color. As for why his hair disappears instead of falling out, he doesn't know. Since the other party doesn't know, then I shouldn't waste time. After all, the afternoon class is about to start. The reason why I signed up for a summoner is not because I love it, but because I don't want to go to crowded classes. Let's go, little beauty. Brother doesn't have time to accompany you. Yi Fan was certain that he could walk his own path, and he had already recovered, no longer drowsy like before, so he regained his previous personality. You're a disciple. The sound coming from behind did not stop Yi Fan's footsteps, but the corners of his mouth still involuntarily rose. The apprentice asked some inexplicable questions, then flirted with herself for a few words and left. She was really a bad guy. She walked towards her own teaching building against the rising and falling twin peaks. The teaching building where Yi Fan is located is on the north side of the school. It takes half an hour to walk alone. After all, it is a newly established professional summoner, and the teaching staff is also relatively poor in the school. They are all just graduates, and there are still some differences from some old teachers. The school where Yi Fan is located, Haiqing Immortal Vocational and Technical University, was originally named Haiqing Vocational and Technical University in Yi Fan's memory. It was an ordinary second-tier university, but now it inexplicably adds the word Immortal, as if it is dedicated to cultivating immortals. And in the same city, there are also universities such as Haiqing University and Haiqing Royal College. After all, Haiqing can also be considered a big city, close to the ocean. Arriving at the teaching building, Yi Fan found his own class and did not see any acquaintances along the way, just like Li Qiaoyue, a top student in the school who applied for the wizarding major, while Yang Wei and their younger brother applied for the night major, which is the most popular major in the school. Hello, I am your teacher and your counselor for the next year. My name is Mao Ji, and you can also call me Master Mao. Although he claims to be Master Mao, his cultivation level is only a senior apprentice. However, he is a summoner and thinks he is superior. After all, this profession is not easy to cultivate. Otherwise, at the age of 5,000 people, only 50 people would have applied for this major. The man's figure was not as burly as he had imagined. Instead, he looked as weak as a primary school student, his breath was even more ethereal, and his face showed a discordant smile. He had dark yellow hair on his head, making it hard to move his eyes. However, Yi Fan almost sneered out loud, after all, this typical person was like a group, killing Matt. Although I don't intend to study these Western immortal professions seriously, I still want to learn from some aspects and explore my own cultivation methods. And at this moment, Yi Fan's phone rang. Yi Fan took out his phone and saw a message from his sister. Yi Qinghe. How on top of that, the news from my parents became much more enthusiastic, saying that I haven't had much contact with them for a month. Seeing this, Yi Fan felt a pain in his heart and wondered what had happened to his beloved sister. My parents seemed to feel something was wrong and even spoke up to help my sister cover up. What's wrong with Xueer? Has he been in a bad mood at school lately? Brother, and you chat, but you have this attitude. Yi Fan also wanted to ask if his sister had encountered any difficulties. Although it was just a parallel world, he believed that in this world, he would also get along well with his sister and not be indifferent. And at home, he always felt that this sister had an indescribable mystery, always able to take out various things for him to eat. At that time, he was still young, so he stuffed them into his stomach. Now that he remembered, the taste was a bit bitter, but looking at his sister's face, he still pinched his nose and ate it. There are always some students who rely on themselves to gain the favor of the awakening master, but refuse to listen carefully, thinking that they are compared to Yang Dian. As soon as Yi Fan looked up, he saw Mao Ji's disgusted gaze, as if he were just mouse poop. Yi Fan's heart moved, and he knew who the other person was talking about. Yang Dian was Yang Wei's brother, and this guy was also Li Qiaoyue's pursuer. Li Qiaoyue ignored him, but he didn't allow other men to approach Li Qiaoyue, including Yi Fan. But Mao Ji is still in a strange state, obviously bought by Yang Dian. After all, the Yang family is a second-rate aristocratic family in Haicheng. Buying a senior apprentice is still an easy task. I saw that Mao Ji didn't feel enough and wanted Yi Fan to go out and stand as a punishment to prove his authority. However, Yi Fan turned around and left, feeling that his ears were buzzing incessantly. Although Mao Ji was angry, he still didn't dare to take action. After all, this was a school where the teacher openly took action, but he would be punished by the supervisory committee. Mao Ji added fuel to the fire and reported the matter to the school. After all, although he couldn't directly take action, as long as he took a little action, he didn't believe that that stinky guy could get away with it. There was a woman who had a good appearance before, and he pursued her a little. However, the other party not only refused his kindness, but also revealed that he had improved his strength through secret methods, which made him feel embarrassed. Moreover, the other party seemed to have used connections and switched to the next class, which left him helpless. And today this boy without background dares to publicly disrespect him. He must repair him well. Yi Fan arrived at the library, and the first to third floors were open to students for free, but the fourth floor must have made a certain contribution to the school in order to go up. After all, this is the foundation of the school. After all, the martial arts of a school all converge here. Yi Fan arrived at the first floor. After all, he felt an inexplicable attraction here, and there were very few people on the first floor of the library. Most of them went to the third floor of the library. After all, important books were stored according to the floor. Following the guidance in his heart, Yi Fan arrived at a remote corner, where there were only a few sparse books. Yi Fan was also very speechless, and these books had no covers. They looked like a pile of discarded newspapers, with no books left. No wonder they were left in the corner, clearly not valued. Most of these books are brought back by students from outside, as they can be exchanged for credits. Credits are not only a criterion for graduation, but also a common currency for exchanging weapons, mounts, and even martial arts. As long as you have made sufficient contributions to the school, you can basically meet the needs of the school. However, Yi Fan came to this remote corner and sat down without anyone disturbing him. Instead, he could focus on studying these yellowed books. The first book, without a cover, contains some strange paintings and the text is somewhat obscure and difficult to understand. Chapter 003. Qi Training Begins, Myth of the Wilderness. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. But Yi Fan feels novel. I don't know why, but this text seems to be from the ancient script of the Dragon Kingdom. And as long as Yi Fan takes a glance, he can understand the content written. In the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed and Yi Fan had roughly understood the content of the article. It says that the Pangu clan opened up the heavens and wanted to use the path of power to achieve their own success, but due to the secret plot of the Heavenly Way, they were brutally killed. Pangu clan. Isn't this Pangu himself? Yi Fan looked at the portrait of Pangu, and in the book, it was just a hasty stroke. But Yi Fan knows that it's the creator god. This book should be placed on the 4th or even higher level. But now it's here, which makes Yi Fan understand 2 things. The first thing is that people nowadays may not understand this book, or they may no longer recognize such language. The second thing is where the gods of the Dragon Kingdom have gone. Why have everyone's memories of the gods of the Dragon Kingdom disappeared? Yi Fan seemed to have seen a shocking conspiracy. At the end of the first book, there are 3 big characters written. Hong Yuan Gong. Yi Fan was immediately shocked. Although the famous martial arts of the Honghuang period were not comparable to those of the 1 Qi transforming 3 cleanliness, the 8-9 Xian Gong, and the Taiqing Immortal technique, they were the most basic martial arts of the Honghuang period. For him now, it is more applicable. Yi Fan looked at the content of Hong Yuan Gong and understood his strength. Hong Yuan Gong exercises his body and mind through specific breathing and body movements, which can stimulate the power of the wilderness. Sitting cross-legged, thinking of trying out the martial arts of this ancient era, I saw the spiritual energy of heaven and earth find its outlet, wandering aimlessly. At this moment, they all crawled towards Yi Fan's body. And Yi Fan also felt his whole body light, as if blending with this world. Even the wisp of true qi in the abdomen has become thicker at this moment. Classmate, we're closing down. Yi Fan slowly opened his eyes and exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. And the person on the other side had no idea at all, as if they had seen something strange. After all, was it because they had eaten the Oriao? Their mouth was so ugly. Yi Fan looked at the time and it was already 9 o'clock. He immediately stood up and looked at the books in his hand with reluctance. Although I have finished reading the first book, Yi Fan feels that it is not the complete work of Hong Yuan Gong. So Yi Fan wanted to pack them all. For a long time Yi Fan touched his pocket and found it empty, even without any money for dinner. But looking at the few books in his hand, he was still satisfied. Because it is the first level book, the school also sells it to the public. After all, schools need to regularly clean up some useless books or books that are not very important to the school. And the few books in Yi Fan's hand were of no use at all. The professionals in the school also cannot understand this, and the wildlife portrait cannot be compared to the deities they worship. So they thought this was just a book about monsters. Don't value it, otherwise Yi Fan wouldn't be able to afford it either. After all, these books may not seem very important to the school, but for some small families outside, some of these techniques can be treated as their heirlooms. Yi Fan returned to the dormitory with these 3 books in his hand. Fan Gu, you're back. As soon as we arrived at the entrance of the dormitory, we heard the voice of the fat man. Yi Fan didn't know why, but he always felt that the 3 people in the dormitory were very friendly. As if destined in the dark. Fan Gu, where did you go today? According to reason, shouldn't you sleep in the dormitory? As the jokes from the dormitory members spread, Yi Fan and others all laughed. Yi Fan knew these guys were worried about him, and Yi Fan also knew their thoughts. "I'm fine, I'm a top student in Haiqing. If it weren't for falling asleep during the college entrance examination, I wouldn't have." The fat man and others looked at Yi Fan, who was bragging, and laughed, immediately pulling him closer to the dormitory. "Fatty, my drowsiness has been cured." Yi Fan said these words coldly, but the fat man and the others looked surprised. After all, now everyone knows that their dormitory has a sleeping god. "Really, master?" Ao Lai shouted excitedly, but the other two people in the dormitory gave him a fleeting glance. He said, "Are you still feeling well?" Another rugged-looking roommate blocked Ao Lai's mouth. "And his name is Sha Wujing, which makes people look like a wild man." Yi Fan didn't know which one he was up to as he watched the comical expressions of the others. Sha Wujing, Ao Lai, Bian Zhuang. Yi Fan didn't use too many ideas. After all, no one in this world remembers the Eastern gods. So even if Sha Wujing and the Rolling Shutter General have the same name, he doesn't care much. After all, there are too few coincidences in the world. A few people quickly quieted down. And Yi Fan also flipped through his second book. The cover of the book is no longer clear, but the content inside is clearly undamaged. Yi Fan felt a sense of unease as his soul seemed to be sucked into this eerie book. A strong attraction came from the book, and Fatty, Ao Lai, and Sha Wujing and others all noticed. After all, they can still feel the soul power emitted by books flying into the air. But quickly take it back and pay attention. After all, Yi Fan is fine, and they don't care anymore. Everyone has their own chance. You are too weak in this life. Yi Fan opened his eyes and saw a mist. No matter how hard Yi Fan tried, he couldn't see clearly behind the fog. It seems to have invisible barriers. Who are you? You don't need to know, and all you need to do now is constantly improve your cultivation. As long as you reach the realm of transforming emptiness, you will know. The other party seemed to understand what Yi Fan was thinking and did not give him a chance to speak up. A beam of light shot straight at Yi Fan's eyebrows in the mist, and the complete cultivation method of Hunyuan Gong immediately came to mind, with an additional storage ring in his hand. Yi Fan woke up, but he also noticed that his roommates didn't notice him. I breathed a sigh of relief in an instant. After all, only a few people have been together for a month, and the time is still too short, but I am not worried that the other party will know his secret. But rather afraid of being treated as an outsider by them. I practice Hunyuan Gong on my own, and people in this world are all practicing magic and swordsmanship, afraid of being noticed by some old monsters. Yi Fan looked at his roommates around him, all sitting cross-legged. You shouldn't fall behind. After all, thinking of that sentence, if you want to know the truth, you should cultivate to the realm of transforming emptiness. Yi Fan has a clear realm division in his mind, which includes cultivating qi, building foundations, using golden pills, transforming the mortal world, and transforming emptiness. Hua Su is also a Mahayana. It is a great power. But each realm has 9 levels, while Western cultivation only has 3 levels. Beginner, Intermediate, and Advanced. Yi Fan sat cross-legged, operating the Hunyuan Gong, and the complete Hunyuan Gong was like an upgraded version. Originally, Yi Fan was in the library and there was a lot of activity, but now a spiritual vortex is slowly emerging around him. Yi Fan is located in the middle, possibly because the whole school is not practicing spiritual energy, but rather absorbing certain elements. The spiritual energy from a radius of 10 miles around Yi Fan slowly drifted towards him. And he knows nothing about the outside world. After all, his spiritual energy is already rampant inside him now. However, Yi Fan seemed to be very familiar with Hunyuan Gong for some reason, as if he had practiced it before. One night Yi Fan opened his eyes, as if they were even brighter. Now he feels like his whole body is full of strength, and there are 3 streams of gas swirling around his body. And each stream of gas is like a small sword, spinning inside him. Yi Fan didn't know why the spiritual energy inside him was in the shape of a sword. But he understood that his own weapon should be a sword. Triple sword Qi. I should have reached the third level of Qi cultivation, but unexpectedly, I broke through in just one night. Yi Fan clenched his fist, feeling the surging power of his body. He felt that even a cow could be beaten to death with one punch. Arrived at the martial arts training ground, which is a place provided by the school for students to hone their attack skills. Mages can practice in the target area, while knights and warriors can compete in the competition area. Although Yi Fan chose a summoner, he felt that his weapon should be a sword. So he took out the iron sword he had prepared, which he had purchased at a scenic spot when he came to university. Which man doesn't have a dream of chivalry and righteousness? And now as a cultivator, I can finally fulfill my dreams. As he thought, he began to dance the iron sword in his hand. Because it was purchased from a scenic area, the iron sword in hand has not yet been opened. The stuttering was immense, but the sword was ultimately a sword. As long as the person holding the sword has excellent martial arts skills, even a small grass or a leaf can kill invisibly. Yi Fan hasn't learned any moves, so it looks like he's just chopping randomly. Moreover, the sword in hand has a wide and long handle, and the sword body is even more bulky, which is completely different from the shape of the sword transformed by one's own sword energy. Yi Fan swung his sword with great effort, although it was not the 3-foot-long sword he had imagined, as a swordsman. It should integrate 100 swords, and be able to integrate all kinds of swords. So Yi Fan was not in a hurry to forge his own sword. Yi Fan continued to wave, gradually blending into the sword itself, the two merging into one. Yi Fan believes that he is currently practicing Qi triple, which is almost equivalent to the beginner level of apprenticeship. But Yi Fan did not slack off, he wanted to know who was behind that mist. I want to know why all the immortals in his memory have gone, while I can only constantly hone myself. This sense of powerlessness made him feel scared. The sword in my hand became more and more manic, looking even colder, as if I wanted to use this sword to split open the world. A wave of palpitations. Yi Fan stopped, already sweating profusely. I almost let him go crazy just now because of my restlessness in my heart. Wow, I only practiced 3 layers of Qi myself. Yi Fan felt that his strength was possessed by magic, and if he was discovered, he would not be beaten to death. Put away the sword. After all, the mysterious person gave him a storage space, which contained various books. However, due to my low strength, I cannot even retrieve those books. I need to reach the 9th level of Qi cultivation before I can use them. Now only things that have been saved by oneself can be freely taken out. Moreover, there was no miraculous medicine inside, which shattered Yi Fan's desire to take a shortcut. Chapter 004. Truncation destroyed, angry from the sky. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Just now, I didn't achieve nothing. The spiritual energy in my body was still too thin. I only supported myself by waving for half an hour, but my understanding of the sword is even more profound. This is not our genius, but it's a green-level qualification. Yang Wei walked slowly towards Yi Fan with his younger brother, noticing him as early as Yi Fan started dancing his sword. And Yi Fan naturally didn't see this guy. Come on, let me take a look at your hair. Ha ha ha, it's not like you used a secret medicine to improve your qualifications and then all of it fell off, right? Yang Wei seems to have not said enough yet, chattering incessantly. You bald donkey, you still have time to drop out of school now, so as not to embarrass yourself. Yi Fan used to have the habit of drowsiness for some unknown reason, but now he only needs to meditate. Meditation can restore oneself and enhance strength, but now these annoying guys must be fiercely fought back by oneself. You green-haired guy, if you have nothing to do, just go home and take a look. Did your girlfriend turn you green? By the way, I forgot about your impotence. If you can't do it, send your girlfriend over and I'll give you a good adjustment. You. Puff, some people couldn't help but sneer, but due to the strength of the Yang family, they dared not laugh. Yi Fan doesn't care about these things. If this kind of person thinks you're being bullied, they will kick their nose and face, and they will fight back hard. Yang Wei's face turned red with anger. So many women in the cultivation field heard about it. If they didn't do something, they would really think he was suffering from impotence. Yi Fan, come to the martial arts arena if you have the ability. Let's go fight on the arena. Okay, but new students have a 3-month exemption from competition when they first start school, and if they have the ability, they will compete for 2 months later. Yang Wei became even more proud after hearing this. He had family support, and this kid had already inquired about it and had no background. So the longer the time, the more advantageous it is for oneself. I just saw Yi Fan dancing his sword there, and although I didn't see anything remarkable, he still had some palpitations. As if it could tear him apart. Just as Yi Fan responded, a coquettish response came. Yi Fan, don't fall for his trap. Yi Fan knew from the sound that the person coming was Li Xiaoyue. My heart couldn't help but warm up. Although I didn't socialize too deeply with her, Yi Fan also knew that this girl had a good heart. Before he could explain, he heard Li Xiaoyue scolding Yang Wei. What other skills do you have besides being able to bully the weak? Your actions will only make me look down on you. Relying on your family to barely defeat level 1 monsters, who knows what weapon you're using? Li Xiaoyue was filled with righteous indignation. This guy stuck to himself everywhere, and most importantly, he also dated several women at the same time. It's disgusting to think about it, but the other party is also the second son of the Qingxuan family, and they dare not offend him too much. Yang Wei, however, had a Sima-like expression on his face. Although the other person's figure and appearance matched his own, as the second young master of the Yang family, it was not normal for him to have 3 wives and 4 concubines to have several mistresses. This woman has always been hostile towards her. If it weren't for the old antique in the family constantly wanting to take her down, she wouldn't be willing to provoke this crazy woman. And looking at Yi Fan, who was protected by Li Xiaoyue, he was full of anger and couldn't let him run away. It's okay, I can definitely defeat him in 3 months. It's not as simple as you think. Some things can't be solved by hard work, and the heritage of a big family is beyond your imagination. Li Xiaoyue was anxious and quickly said, moreover, Yang Wei's behavior must have meant to defeat you in the competition. Just as you were swinging your sword, he felt threatened. Yi Fan's heart warmed. At first, he felt that this girl was too stingy and domineering, blocking him for half a month. Now, he asked Yi Fan to let go of the barrier and felt that she was pretty good. Li Xiaoyue is very close to Yi Fan because she is impatient. And just now, I was sweating profusely in the training hall, and a drop of sweat fell in front of the 2 people, like a freshly emerged hibiscus. It's okay, I can defeat him, trust me. Yi Fan instinctively touched her head, and for a moment, she felt like her own sister. Whatever you want. Li Xiaoyue threw a sentence and ran away with a red face. Before leaving, I also threw a bag to Yi Fan. This annoying guy dares to touch his head, but he's not worried. As long as he's still there, he can keep him safe. Li Xiaoyue didn't know why her mentality had such a change. On the other side, Yi Fan and Yang Wei have already made an agreement, and many people have heard it in public, so Yang Wei is not afraid of him running away and takes his younger brother to Yangchang. Yi Fan, on the other hand, has a nonchalant expression. He has his own cultivation techniques, and his cultivation speed and methods will definitely be able to strike hard in 2 months. Everyone dispersed, and Yi Fan opened his cloth bag, only to find 100 credits inside. The purchasing power of credits is 1,000 times that of ordinary money, and some things cannot be bought with money. The credits are made in paper form because the school materials are made of special materials, so no one can imitate them. Yi Fan accepted it. After all, he needs these now and will only return them to the other party in the future. The following month Yi Fan often appears in the martial arts arena, the cafeteria of the 3 p.m. dormitory, and the martial arts arena. Because he disliked Mao Ji, Yi Fan decided not to even attend classes as long as he passed the final exam. Martial arts arena. Most people have heard of a sword immortal recently, although they don't know why he is called a sword immortal. I only know that his swordsmanship is superb, and his sword is biased. Without using his cultivation, no one is an opponent, and the sword in his hand is even more peculiar, a style that no one has ever seen before. Yi Fan returned to the dormitory, and now he is in the 8th level of Qi cultivation, with a faint breakthrough posture. Sitting cross-legged, he immediately began to activate the Hunyuan Gong, and the spiritual energy of heaven and earth transformed into a warm stream that entered Yi Fan's body. He heard that just yesterday, Yang Wei defeated the level 2 leopard, which is a powerful monster at level 2 and its strength is comparable to that of an intermediate apprentice. However, after the competition in the martial arts arena, Yi Fan felt that his spiritual power was a higher level existence than his magic. It's like magic is an element within spiritual energy. So in the same realm, or one level higher than Yi Fan can easily win. Yi Fan still dared not relax. After all, as his strength grew stronger, he felt even more that the spiritual energy he had improved in the later stage could be massive. So every minute is precious, and I must reach the goal of building the foundation next month. The credits given by Li Qiaoyue have long been used up. By the end of the competition, I must find a way to take on tasks in exchange for credits. His sword, the Zhu Xian sword, was custom-made at the school's weapon forging factory, but it took him 50 credits. It took him quite a while to explain the appearance of this sword to several masters. That's why he yearns to earn credits on his own. The first condition is to reach the level of a senior apprentice in cultivation. Yi Fan is not clear about the level of a senior apprentice, but Yang Wei is currently only in the later stage of a junior apprentice. I still wanted to continue practicing, so I took a deep breath and kept splitting the sword energy inside my body. Yi Fan's sword energy changes from 1 to 2, like a split. While continuously absorbing spiritual energy, produce new sword energy through the spiritual energy in the body and the absorbed spiritual energy. For a long time, I only heard a bang, as if a shackle had broken through. The 9th sword energy. Generate. And now Yi Fan has 9 sword energies in his body, corresponding to 9 levels of Qi cultivation in his realm. Yi Fan stood up and finally broke through. As long as he broke through to build the foundation in the last month, even if Yang Wei showed it, he was not afraid of any so-called heritage. And now Yi Fan has more important things to attend to. That's practicing the 9th layer of Qi, finally being able to take out the things inside the storage ring. Yi Fan waited for a full month, and the first book he took out was Tai Chi Sword Technique. Tai Chi Sword Technique. It was created by Zhang Sanfeng of Wudong. The moves are spontaneous, but they can always achieve unexpected effects. Yi Fan looked at it and instantly fell in love with this technique. After all, he could do whatever he wanted, and that was him. Then he flipped through the basic books and found that besides this Tai Chi sword technique, there was also a book on elixirs and notes. I can't take out anything else. This Yi Fan also knew that too much can't chew, so he started flipping through a few books. Yi Fan has already seen the Tai Chi sword technique, and now he is looking at the elixir. Looking at the prescription in the Book of Elixirs, Yi Fan's eyes lit up with flames. He absorbed less and less spiritual energy, and even if the spiritual energy from 100 miles came, it was not enough to break through his own cultivation. It's like a lack of spiritual energy. Yi Fan currently doesn't have much credits on hand, which is not enough to purchase medicinal herbs. So Yi Fan opened the last diary. Pangu opened the sky, chaos gave birth to Tai Chi gave birth to 2E, 2E gave birth to 4 symbols. Yi Fan seemed to understand rather than understand. After all, he knew that he would create all things in his life. Yi Fan seemed to have seen the formation of a continent, and after the founding of Pangu, a vast and desolate continent was formed. And on the desolate continent, due to the war of witches and demons. The interception of teachings was destroyed, and the sage, the leader of the Tongtian sect, was angry and wanted to destroy the wasteland and retrain the earth, fire, water, and wind. The four swords of Zhu Xian completely shattered the fragments of the wasteland that were shattered by the heavenly sky. The saints of the wasteland collected them. 4 continents were refined, namely Dongxing Shenzhou, Nanzan Buzhou, Beijiu Luzhou, and Xiniu Hizhu. Yi Fan did not feel that the leader of the Tongtian sect was a sinner upon seeing this. Although all the notes were a condemnation of Tongtian, he understood that even if he encountered such a situation, it would still be the same. Sages are often framed by others, so now that I am only in the stage of qi cultivation, how can I protect the people around me? Yi Fan became even more determined to cultivate himself well. Close the book. Yi Fan took a deep breath. The book not only records this period of history, but also the methods of building foundations. Spiritual energy transforms into 9, and 9 returns to 1. Yi Fan needs to use these spiritual energies to hone his body. The body is like a container, only when it is strong enough can it carry more spiritual energy. So Yi Fan began his cultivation again. Chapter 005. Forging Room, Store Owner Tang Xueer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. As the saying goes, Tai Chi gives birth to 2E, 2E give birth to 4 Xiang. Building a foundation requires honing one's physical body through spiritual energy. The process is extremely painful, but Yi Fan tried for a long time but couldn't find a suitable method for himself. He didn't know why he had reached the peak of the 9th level of qi cultivation. But I feel like my body is improving slowly. It's as if this container is not full. But Yi Fan saw that from practicing qi to transforming emptiness, Mahayana, it was all completed at the 9th level. How can I improve myself? After Yi Fan's cultivation failed, he also gave up. After all, he still had 1 month left to fight Yang Wei. Since we can't break through, let's go out and take a look. Yi Fan looked at his empty pocket and couldn't help but feel a headache. Yi Fan walked aimlessly. This is the commercial street inside the school, where not only are there various types of food, but also various shops selling weapons and spirit beast eggs. And Yi Fan's sword was also customized in the commercial street. Brother Yi Fan. Upon hearing the sound, one could only see a rough man with half of his body exposed, and his strong muscles showed his explosive power. This big man is called Xueer because his parents think it's easy to raise a lowly name and they happen to have 2 cows at home, so his nickname is Xueer. The sword in Yi Fan's hand was also made by him. What's wrong, big brother Nyo? Yi Fan dare not call him Xueer. After all, he is much older than himself at first glance, and not just that. Xueer is still an honest person. He likes to forge swords and is careless without any ulterior motives. Yi Fan really likes his personality. That's it. Last time. Didn't you? Give me a construction drawing. Xueer is stuttering when speaking. I just want to buy this blueprint from you. After all, the sword you designed is really amazing. And many people come to our store to buy, and the store manager sees that this sword is very popular and always calls me to fight, but I know it was designed by you. Yi Fan also understood that the boss intimidated Xueer in order to make money. But Xueer, an honest person, naturally cannot secretly create it, so he came to seek his own opinion. Okay, big brother Nyo. I'm available now. Why don't I meet the store manager now? Okay, no problem, I'll go talk to the store manager now. Watching Xueer run towards the store, Yi Fan couldn't help but be happy. After all, he was currently short of silver. But Yi Fan also knew that the store manager was definitely not a good person and had his own ideas. That must make him pay a price. Quickly, Xueer rushed towards Yi Fan. Got it, the manager of the blacksmith shop is inside. Yi Fan also followed him in. Unlike what Yi Fan had in mind, he had originally thought that the owner of the blacksmith shop should also be a big troublemaker. But now what I see is a tall figure, different from Li Qiaoyue's figure. If Li Qiaoyue is a lowly, then the boss lady in front of me is of the imperial sister type. At a height of 168, but with a body ratio of 3:7, it appears to have very long legs. These legs can even clamp oneself in. Yi Fan thought to himself, but dared not speak out. After all, if such offensive words were spoken out, then with a single command from this woman, he should have been killed by the 17 or 18 men from the blacksmith shop. And because of the high temperature inside the blacksmith shop, there are very few clothes worn inside. And the other party only wore a suspender, waving the fan in their hand, exuding a unique beauty. Yi Fan swallowed his saliva and immediately understood the woman's prowess. Don't be fooled by the fact that the other person is a woman, but there are more than a dozen rough men present who dare not make mistakes. This indicates that this woman has some means, or rather her cultivation is relatively advanced. So Yi Fan just glanced and didn't stop for much at a glance. The tall woman gently caressed her bangs, but he didn't expect that the man in front of him still had some composure. Because when other men saw her, their eyes were all pacing up and down on her, as if they wanted to eat her. Immediately, the boy in front of him gave a high glance, and at this moment, he also looked up at Yi Fan. She didn't expect that this person was clearly a freshman, and the childishness on his face didn't fade away. Yi Fan is 180 meters tall, and coupled with the fact that practitioners have a relatively straight physique and no excess fat on their faces, their facial features are very three-dimensional. Yi Fan didn't know that his height had actually loosened with the increase of cultivation, increasing by 2 centimeters. Looking at the other person's gaze, Yi Fan felt very unhappy in his heart. He didn't look at her, but instead looked at her and brightened up himself. So, without hesitation, enjoy the beautiful scenery in front of you. Tang Xueer felt a bit embarrassed when she was seen, but she still believed that she was charming. When the negotiation came, she could lower the price. Junior, is sister good? Looking. It looks good. She's really a disciple. Tang Xueer was just joking, after all, some little boys used to blush and speechless when they saw her. How about our blacksmith shop spending 100 credits to purchase your design drawing? 100 is quite a lot, 100 points is enough. Aren't you a beggar, big sister? Big sister. Tang Xueer's face turned black in an instant. Although she was only 20 years old, this little turtle dared to call her elder sister. Yi Fan ignored her because he knew that Xueer's monthly salary was only 1 credit, but most of the weapons they sold were priced at 10 to 20 points. The profit here can be imagined, and the sword in my hand was exchanged for a full 50 points. If you don't ruthlessly slaughter her, where should you go to find your own cultivation resources? Yi Fan didn't waste any time and directly extended 2 fingers. 200 points. Tang Xueer suddenly felt happy in her heart. With 200 points, the manufacturing method of this sword was completely profitable. But his face remained expressionless. No, it's a sword. I'll take 20 points, and the rest belongs to you. You're committing a robbery. Tang Xueer's chest heaved and she didn't expect the other person to dare to tease her. The lion opens its mouth wide. Yi Fan also knows that he wants too much, but he has no choice. He is still waiting for these points to exchange for what he wants. I earn 20 points for each sword, and in the next 2 months, I will design 2 more swords myself. I can guarantee that they will only be sold in your store. Although Tang Xueer opened her mouth to the other party's lion, she was very unhappy in her heart. But as a shrewd woman, she found it still profitable. After all, in the early stages, the entire Haicheng should not be able to create such a sword, and in the future, they will have new product research and development. Even with the previous product price reduction, the profit obtained would still be enormous. Junior, 20 points is really too high. I can give you at most 15 points as a sword. Smart people tend to speak more directly. Since the quoted price proves that Tang Xueer is very satisfied with this proposal. Tang Xueer added, "Our labor costs plus the cost of venue materials are also a huge expense." Yi Fan nodded. His original bottom line was 10 points per pack, but now it has been raised to 15 points. So, both parties quickly signed the contract. Just as Yi Fan was leaving with a deposit of 2,000 credits, Tang Xueer stopped him. "Junior, come and play with your sister when you have time." Tang Xueer had a smile on her face, revealing her pure white teeth. Yi Fan didn't answer, nodded and shook his head, then left in a flash. Tang Xueer sneered loudly. Chapter 006. Purchase Spiritual Medicine, Practice Qi for 10 Layers. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Yi Fan can now be considered as carrying a huge sum of money. 2,000 points, not only can you give Li Xiaoyue 100 points, but you will also have 1,900 points left. Yi Fan learned from his notes that there were still a large number of alchemists in ancient times, but they had many natural materials and treasures. Various spiritual medicines, alchemists have purified them and utilized their medicinal power to 80.9%. There are sufficient pills of grades 1 to 9, but the recorded pills are all below grade 7. In the notes, there are pictures of various miraculous medicines, and below are the production methods. This left Yi Fan somewhat speechless. What is the difference between this and pediatric encyclopedias? Yi Fan seemed to have seen 100,000 encyclopedias of Y. He doesn't even pay attention to second-generation ancestors like Yang Wei. The most important thing for Yi Fan is to break through his cultivation as soon as possible, as he vaguely feels that his time is running out. He didn't know why he had such thoughts when he was 18 years old. Is he the legendary son of fate? Arriving at the school clinic, Yi Fan was dumbfounded. 999 Ganmaling, Sanjiaweitai, ibuprofen, cephalosporin. I've trained all the pills that I've done myself. For treating colds, stomach pain, and headaches. Are these medicines useful for cultivators? Yi Fan shook his head, but he still used his spiritual power to feel it. But he was also disappointed for a while. This was not a spiritual medicine, there was no spiritual energy at all, and cultivators were not easy to get sick. At least Yi Fan felt that he wouldn't get any colds. Do you have anything like ginseng or deer antler here? Yi Fan is afraid that he may reveal the names of those medicines, which the other party may not know, so these two common medicinal herbs. Deer antler. Is it the horn on a deer demon? Yi Fan was overjoyed that if the other party could say their name, it would at least prove the existence of such a thing. You go to another street where there is an explosives shop, there should be one. Yi Fan was directly shocked. Explosives. Although there are all cultivators in the school, there are still a small number of ordinary people, such as the aunties in the cafeteria. So the school has already allowed the sale of gunpowder. After all, the destructive power of ordinary cultivators is not weaker than gunpowder. After thanking the clerk, Yi Fan went to the gunpowder shop. There are various types of monster bones, deer antlers, feathers, etc. hanging on the wall. Various firearms are placed on the counter. There are really deer antlers here. Yi Fan couldn't help but feel it. The things on these monsters all carry a slight amount of gas, although different from their own spiritual energy, they all originate from the same source. It should be just a demonic aura. Yi Fan glanced at the corner, where a pile of vegetation was tied with nylon ropes. Don't look or know, is the elixir you're looking for right here. The thing that looks like ginseng is not the spiritual grass I found myself, but the one emitting black gas on the other side should be the demon emperor grass. On the other side, the strip-shaped roots are clearly sand grass. Huanxin grass, anorexia flower, thousand spirit ginseng, Tianxin flower. Yi Fan looked at the familiar spiritual medicines. Didn't this fire medicine shop actually have such things? There are all kinds of spiritual medicines, but there is no charcoal or saltpeter. No, these natural treasures are placed here. Aren't you afraid of his medicinal damage? Looking at these medicinal herbs like cabbage, Yi Fan felt a pang of heartache. May I ask what you need to buy? A middle-aged man walked over with a smile on his face. What type of gunpowder do you need? The middle-aged man wore a smile on his face. After all, business is really difficult to do. Now is the era of cultivators, and firearms are inconvenient to carry. Except for Yi Fan, the entire school does not have storage rings. Some even haven't heard of it. Yi Fan couldn't think of any connection between these heavenly treasures and gunpowder, but he had no interest in these gunpowder. Buying it back may even blow up my own dormitory. We have hand grenades here. Yi Fan interrupted him. He knew these things, but they were all external things. Only his own strength is truly strong. That's why I want to buy these spiritual medicines. Boss, I see you have these things on the ground, are they also for sale? Yi Fan did not name them, after all, exposing too much is not good. Are you saying these things? With the depreciation of explosives, the prices of these things have also become very low. Although these items are full of energy, they cannot be used at all. Someone had been eating these things before, but without exception, they all disappeared into thin air. For them, this thing is simply a drug. Yi Fan also explored the things on the wall and found that the so-called gunpowder in this world is simply two types of herbs. Two types of herbs emit different gases, one is the familiar spiritual energy, and the other is a faint black color. That black gas should be magic gas. And this grenade is simply removing the middle barrier. The explosion was caused by the collision of two gases. Yi Fanjin is speechless. Things that are regarded as treasures by the outside world are used to make bombs. And the power of this bomb is also too small. Are you talking about these materials? The middle-aged man also had a question mark on his face. After all, besides making bombs, these things were only slightly more attractive. It has no value at all and cannot be eaten, although I have heard of pets eating this thing. But they don't eat it often either, maybe it will explode if they eat too much. Upon hearing the other person's words, Yi Fan immediately burst into joy. Since they are unable to use these herbs, we cannot afford to purchase them at an extremely low price ourselves. And this belongs to pioneering, the path is always taken by people. Yi Fan decided to wait for himself to become strong before spreading the true Dragon Kingdom martial arts. Instead of these knights and wizards, I am willing to purchase these materials at a price of 1.5 times. Of course, if you have them, I think we can have a long-term cooperation. Okay. My name is Yi Fan, and this is the door number of my dormitory. Could you please help me deliver it later? This pile of herbs costs Yi Fan a total of 260 points, which is like a drop in the bucket for him. After all, in his card number, there will be a continuous stream of points sent by blacksmiths. Okay, brother Yi Fan, I'll deliver it to you in the evening. The middle-aged man waved his hand. He thought these things were going to be smashed into his own hands, but now, the other party has collected all of them. And I have to deliver so much quantity to him every month, which is definitely a profitable business. And Yi Fan also came to the martial arts arena. Every day at this time, he had to fight a few battles here. After all, only by constantly fighting can he break through his limits. Chapter 007. Hair grows up, bald and original bald. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The first thing to consider in the cultivation world is strength, while the second thing is talent. You have strong strength and will be honored as a guest of honor no matter where you go. You have a powerful talent, and many people want to take you under their own command as a disciple. The weak eat the strong. When Yi Fan is on the martial arts competition stage, he always takes out his wooden sword, but even so, many people are not his opponents. The Tai Chi sword technique emphasizes the use of softness to overcome hardness. Regardless of the strength of the opponent, Yi Fan can easily resolve it. Now that Yi Fan's Tai Chi sword technique has reached the level of Xiaocheng, he can clearly feel where the opponent's moves are lacking. Now I see a knight fully armed, his face full of arrogance, and now he is a mid-level knight. Because the guy in front of him also used a sword, but he didn't have the pride of being a knight. Yi Fan was dressed in plain clothes, with a white shirt and his black casual pants, and his face was calm and relaxed. The other party actually didn't value themselves, and the intermediate knight's face was angry. The other party defeated their brother, and it seemed that the other party was also using a sword. As a result, the opposite party was not wearing armor, which clearly showed that they didn't take themselves seriously. Yi Fan doesn't want to know what the other person is thinking. When encountering anything, he can cut it with one sword, but if one sword doesn't work, he can use two swords. If the way is unfair, then I will cut it with one sword. I admit defeat. Quickly, the knight across from him was also defeated, trembling in place. He had never seen such a terrifying sword before. Big brother, let me come. Don't go, you're not a match. The little brother beside me couldn't bear to watch anymore. After all, the big brother was trying to help them stand out. Yi Fan's eyes narrowed, wondering if it was the legendary story of hitting the little one and then the old one. Yi Fan understood that there were countless gazes around him, although on the surface, Yi Fan was indeed unstoppable. But only first-year students are on stage, and some senior students are either practicing or carrying out tasks. Yi Fan withdrew his thoughts. Today's battle time is over, and he doesn't know if his medicinal herbs have been returned. I immediately walked off the stage and headed towards my own dormitory. Wait a minute. Yi Fan stopped and frowned slightly. It's not over, his goal is to cultivate. Just now, he seemed to have touched some bottlenecks and was about to go back and experience. And these guys never stop, don't they know that sparring is beneficial for cultivation? That, I want to learn swordsmanship from you. I saw the intermediate knight kneeling in front of me with a sincere expression on his face. Big brother, there's no need. That's right, I don't believe he can beat the teacher. Big brother, let's go. With so many people watching. The younger brothers behind them all walked up to their elder brother, trying to help him up. The intermediate knight shook his head because he understood that the person in front of him was not a crooked person. It can be felt that the opponent's sword is more stable, although it is not wide or large, the destructive power is far beyond what he can unleash. No, I have made up my mind. If you still recognize me as the big brother, don't stop me. Get up, I don't have any plans to take in an apprentice. Yi Fan also knows that he is not qualified to accept apprenticeship. If he really does accept apprenticeship, some people may not be able to bear it and say that he is running a small group. When the time comes, some old monsters will attack him one after another, which is not something he can solve. Green Hat Brother. Master, if you don't call me a disciple today, I won't stand up. Yi Fan has been wearing this hat for a month now, and no one knows his name, but most people know that he has green qualifications. Yi Fan was speechless for a moment. What Green Hat Brother? Talking about oneself seems like being brought countless green hats by others. Looking at the person in front of me, although my elder brother has his own pride, he is now kneeling in front of me. And this also indicates that the other party is a person with some personality charm, otherwise the four little brothers behind him would not have left him at this moment. Okay, then today I'll take you as my named disciple. Yi Fan helped him up, but with so many people watching, Yi Fan still felt a bit embarrassed. He is also a teenager of 18 or 19 years old. And from now on, don't call me Green Hat Brother. My name is Yi Fan. Good master. Don't call me master. Good master. Returning to the dormitory, Yi Fan sat down directly in his seat. Master, Brother Fan, you're back. No, I just accepted my apprenticeship, and my roommate already knew. The fat man ate with his mouth and even sprayed some droplets while speaking. This news is probably too fast. What Yi Fan doesn't know, the fat guy doesn't even know about it, he just blurts it out. Yi Fan looked at the three people in the dormitory, all staring at him, and next to his position were all the spiritual medicines he had purchased today. It should be my roommate who helped me bring it in. My heart felt warm. After all, they should be with me for the next 4 years, and Yi Fan knew. When others treat him well, he pays back twice as much, relying on his roommates to take care of him all these days. So he quickly took out some of the spiritual medicine he had bought and gave it to the three people in the dormitory. As he was handing over the things, Yi Fan couldn't help but feel a shock in his heart. How could he not remember the name of his roommate? It's really strange, very familiar, but once I recall it in my mind, I can't even remember what it's called. Fatty guy, this is yours. Well, Ma Gu, this is for you. Little Blackie, here you are. Yi Fan took off his hat, and within a month, his hair had grown out at a very fast rate. Now his hairstyle is like a young celebrity about to debut. The less one knows about their own hair, the better. All three of them, except for the chubby one, had a pale complexion. The fat man chuckled and left a mess on the floor. Soon, Yi Fan was also preparing to start studying these medicinal herbs, but he was shocked to see the scene. The fat man stuffed the medicinal herbs into his mouth, chewed them for a while, and then let out a burp. Judging from this posture, it seems like I still want to continue stuffing into my stomach. This startled Yi Fan because he knew that many people couldn't absorb the spiritual power inside. The reason why I gave these elixirs to my roommate is not to harm him. If they had known they should have refined the elixir that they could absorb, they would have given it to the other party. Eat and eat, like children, stuffing everything into their mouths. Yi Fan dared not talk nonsense and slapped the other person. But just as he slapped him, the chubby guy smiled and his spiritual power disappeared into thin air. Yi Fan Meng, but he also knows that everyone has their own destiny, and those secrets are the fate of others. At least he knows that the fat guy is okay. Eat and eat, don't poison yourself to death, No, just give me some more, brother Fan. Yi Fan dare not continue to give it. The reason why he wants to refine the elixir is because the wild spiritual energy inside the elixir can be made gentle through alchemy. Yi Fan took out the rice cooker. This is what he bought from a second-hand group, and the new rice cooker can be eaten just like the rice cooked from a second-hand rice cooker. The principle of being able to save, Yi Fan instigated it. The faces of the three people in the dormitory changed. Where did this come from? How about you take out your mysterious furnace, second brother? No, it wouldn't be good if brother Fan saw through this. That's right, this move has reached its most critical point, and we no longer have a chance. Three people secretly transmitted the message, of course Yi Fan did not know. Playing with the rice cooker in my hand, I still have to rent a house myself, after all, places like school can't even use pressure cookers. If the three people in the dormitory know that they have to take out the alchemy stove now, what kind of rice cooker and pressure cooker is this alchemy thing? I don't know, I thought Yi Fan was going to cook in the dormitory. Yi Fan selected several herbs to refine the foundation pill, and after careful study of his notes, he realized that he should have been lacking in spiritual energy. That's why we can't break through the foundation. Building a foundation pill can help people break through. Watching Yi Fan stuffing a large bundle of black ice flowers into the rice cooker, including sunflowers, heavenly spirit fruits, light spirit herbs, etc. They felt a wave of heartache. Especially the Xianbing flower, it is a third-grade heavenly treasure. But now it's actually thrown into the rice cooker. The electricity that Yi Fan plugged in may feel too dry, and he even added some water inside. If it weren't for the low demand for these things among people in this world, there wouldn't be so much waste for Yi Fan. Yi Fan started cooking quickly, and 20 minutes passed quickly. Waves of medicinal fragrance drifted out of the rice cooker. Is this okay? Fatty people and others are afraid of frying pans, and it's difficult to explain if it's frying pans. Everyone's attention is focused here, and if anything unexpected happens, they will take action immediately. When someone finds out, they can also find an excuse to evade it. Yi Fan eagerly opened the rice cooker, and all the water in the cooker evaporated. And the heavenly and earthly treasures inside emit heat, but there is no intention of melting at all. Yi Fan frowned slightly. I went to the balcony again to fetch half of the pot of water and decisively pressed the polished rice. This time it was cooked for 40 minutes. The fragrance emanating from inside is even stronger than the last time. Is this okay? If it's not cooked well at once, then cook it again. The fat man's saliva flowed out, and he didn't take a hot bite. Thinking about the red blood spirit fruit he had just swallowed, he felt a pang of heartache. I should also put it in the pot and cook it myself. Yi Fan opened the rice cooker and shook his head, but it didn't work. Using an electric rice cooker to cook elixirs is still a bit lacking. I saw the spiritual medicines one by one, emitting spiritual energy that merged into the water. But it fell far short of his expectations. At least half of the medicinal power is still retained in the spiritual medicine itself. So Yi Fan boiled for another 2 hours. This time it was opened, a golden light flashed by. Yi Fan is overjoyed this time he should have done it, but when he looked at the bottom of the pot, it was a pitch-black mess. Just like freshly cooked black sesame paste. Bubbles popped out from the bottom, this time they were ripe. But how does this make people speak? A smell of traditional Chinese medicine is spreading. Isn't it said in the book that there is a pill fragrance? Although I don't have an alchemy furnace, I can't shape the pill. But don't finish my danxiang. Yi Fan still took out his chopsticks, dipped them a bit, and then licked them with his tongue. Taste. Pretty good. Sure enough, the taste is like sesame paste that has been in place for 3 days. It was heated up with water today. Yi Fan nodded, feeling that he had slowly absorbed the pill he had taken. This also proves that his idea is successful. Chapter 008. Cangqiong Hall, Spiritual Qi Scattered Simplified Edition. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yi Fan finished half of the pot of sesame paste with tears in his eyes. The rest was snatched away by the fat man, while Ma Go and Xiao Haizi showed no interest in the half-pot of dark things. Yi Fan is operating Hong Yuan Gong, absorbing the medicinal power in his body. The breath is constantly rising. In the morning, although there was no breakthrough in cultivation, Yi Fan could feel that the spiritual energy in his body became richer. Yi Fan plans to find someone to help him refine medicine. I couldn't waste my time here, so I discussed it with Ma Go and Xiao Haizi. P.S. Ma Go is a handsome Ao Lai, Xiao Haizi is a bearded Sha Wujing, and Yi Fan can't remember their names. As for why not let the chubby guy help me, I'm afraid he might have eaten it all before he finished refining. The two of them also readily agreed, and Yi Fan gave 100 credits a month, which was a considerable amount of funds. You should know that outside, 1 point can make ordinary people work for a month. Yi Fan rented a 100 square meter house near the school, and there were a total of 20 rice cookers in the living room. The room is filled with various medicinal herbs. Yi Fan first planned to make a large number of medicinal liquids, including foundation building liquid and spiritual energy powder, liquid version. There are really no other good methods, but liquids can still be used. As soon as Yi Fan left his pharmacy, Yang Kun ran over. 4 little brothers are still following behind him. Master. I finally found you. I didn't meet you at the entrance of your dormitory just now. Talking endlessly, Yi Fan didn't expect this guy to still be a chatterbox. The other party was also wearing plain clothes this time and put away all the equipment representing the dignity of knights. Yang Kun felt bitter in his heart, as the illegitimate son of the Yang family, although he had unlimited glory in front of outsiders. But he understood that by relying on himself, others would never take him seriously. And the Yang family has Yang Wei's relentless suppression of himself, and he can't even turn things around. So he placed his hope on Yi Fan. After all, he didn't believe that Yi Fan had no backstage. Such swordsmanship and strength are only possessed by some hidden families. As a member of a second-rate aristocratic family in Haicheng, I still know some upper-class news. The four major capital families of the Dragon Kingdom, Yi, Qin, Lin, and Tang. The Yi family has close relationships with some hidden clans, otherwise they would not have been able to maintain their position as the largest family in the Dragon Kingdom. So he believes that Yi Fan's swordsmanship must have been provided by those hidden families. And he knew that the Yi family seemed to be practicing the method of experience, and all the children of the Yi family were not allowed to go home until they reached the age of 20, and only the strong could become the rulers of the Yi family. It's not determined by blood relations or distance. Yi Fan doesn't know these things. He happens to lack people, and he also wants to know if anyone else besides himself can absorb this natural talent and treasure. But don't expose your secrets casually. Try their loyalty first. Do you all want to learn my swordsmanship? Yi Fan scanned the crowd, a momentum emanating from him. This is coercion. The faces of the 5 people were all filled with fear, although it did not make them fall to the ground. As long as they exert a slight force, they can stand up, but no one dares to resist. You should know that the boy in front of you is the same age as them. A few people secretly rejoiced, which proved that they had made the right bet. The stronger Yi Fan's strength is, the more they, as younger brothers, benefit greatly. And they remembered when they knelt down to Yi Fan, but many people laughed at them. Now, with the identity of the Yi family, who dares to laugh at them? They buried their heads lower one by one. Okay, from now on, all 5 of you will be my named disciples. Qingxuan, you are my senior brother. Understood. I have a set of cultivation techniques here, please remember not to pass them on to others. 5 people were overjoyed. This kind of cultivation method cannot be spread randomly, each family has its own cultivation method. And Yi Fan passed it on to them, which proves that he became his person, and Yi Fan's status may be even higher than they thought. If spread indiscriminately, once discovered, it is a danger of extermination. Yi Fan pointed towards their heads separately. A cultivation technique has appeared in everyone's mind. Hongyuan Gong. Although it is only a simple version, its power can be imagined. And Yi Fan is also worried that these few people who directly practice Hongyuan Gong will not die suddenly. So, Yi Fan quickly assigned them tasks and checked their cultivation every morning. In the afternoon, they need to take turns helping themselves refine medicine. Yi Fan explained the details of refining medicine to them, and several people expressed that there was no problem with the precautions. Yi Fan is not worried about them stealing food, so don't explode and die then. After explaining the precautions, I took them to my alchemy room. Sure enough, everyone's expressions were shocked. After all, those are 20 rice cookers, and the entire living room is full of fairy-like atmosphere. Full of spiritual power. After a brief conversation with Xiao Haizi and others, Yi Fan also left. In the blink of an eye, a month has passed. Yi Fan has changed from the previous 3-point line to the current 4-point line. Dormitory, martial arts arena, alchemy room, commercial street. Yi Fan has already given 2 blueprints to the blacksmith shop, and the blacksmith shop has been renamed Fanguang Blacksmith. A design of a long sword and a design of a meteor hammer. The meteor hammer has been favored by some aristocratic ladies. The sales of weapons have even reached off-campus levels, and in just a few decades, orders have already exploded. You need to make a reservation to get it. In the alchemy room, Yi Fan found that as long as his spiritual energy powder was diluted 10 times, ordinary cultivators could absorb it, but it would cause diarrhea. So Yi Fan also opened a shop at school, the Sky Palace. Inside, various pills are sold, while Fatty is the store manager on the storefront. After all, when the fat guy found out that his other 2 roommates, Ma Gu and Xiao Haizi, both earned 100 points a month, he was extremely envious. Entangled with Yi Fan every day, Yi Fan also became annoyed. Let him be the spokesperson and sell the simplified version of Lingqi powder. Yi Fan is currently in the dormitory, and he is the only one in the dormitory. The spiritual energy around him was constantly approaching, and the sky was also shrouded in dark clouds. As if to tear apart this world. Break it for me. With a loud roar from Yi Fan. Yi Fan's breath climbed step by step and finally broke through. It only took me a month to start with no cultivation and reach the 9th level of Qi cultivation, but it took me a month to break through and build the foundation. No, practice. Practice 10 layers of Qi. Within oneself, there are 10 chopsticks thick and thin spiritual energy swirling. Isn't this the 10th level of Qi cultivation? Yi Fan doesn't have time to think much, he still has one game today. Come back and study again. Martial Arts Arena. The field was crowded with people. After all, today was a duel between the so-called first-year strong students in vocational colleges. Yang Wei covered his hand and stood with a smile on his face. Although he is a second-generation ancestor. But in front of so many people, I still maintain a gentlemanly demeanor. Chapter 009. I have a sword, slaying the sky. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Yang Wei really enjoys this feeling. This is what the young master of the Yang family should look like. The stars are crowing with the moon. I killed a 2nd-level monster a month ago, and after being infused with cultivation by an old family member yesterday, I am now a mid to late stage knight. Although infused with cultivation, it has no effect on oneself. It is the most essence energy of a dying old man. As long as one's cultivation improves and the energy shackles are lifted layer by layer, one will eventually become the youngest and not the second youngest honor knight in Haicheng. That is the existence of a great wizard on par. Where has he gone now, this bald donkey? Don't be arrogant, you impotent guy. What qualifications do you have to call our master? You, a wild beast, have the right to shout. Hurry up and call that bald donkey. I'll kill him on the martial arts arena today. Yang Wei did not know that Yi Fan had defeated Yang Kuan. He knew that his younger brother was an intermediate knight, although only a beginner. But he doesn't have any inclination towards family resources. This made him exert more force when suppressing Yang Kuan. Not many people present knew that Yi Fan was the Green Hat God of War from a while ago. Although the Green Hat God of War hasn't come to the martial arts arena for a month, they never believe it. It was the bald man who defeated them. Li Xiaoyue and Tang Xueer also came to the martial arts arena. They know the truth. Although they didn't feel that Yi Fan could beat the opponent, they could feel that Yi Fan was at most a junior apprentice, which was a huge abyss. Isn't this impotence guy? He's in such a hurry and doesn't want to go back and eat Indian red pills, right? With a smile on his face, Yi Fan arrived at the martial arts arena in just a few steps. And Yi Fan didn't wear a duckbill hat today, all his original handsomeness was revealed. And that black hair is even more eye-catching. After all, everyone goes through the awakening ceremony, and everyone's hair color is undoubtedly revealed. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. The eyes of Tang Xueer and Lin Xiaoyue in the audience were the most caring. That's Yi Fan from the summoning department. How could he wield a sword? Maybe I know I can't beat him, so I want to use it to increase my chances of winning. He also took this sword, which is the latest product of the Fanhua blacksmith. It's just a few swords, he definitely can't beat Yang Xiao, after all, who doesn't know that the summoning department is the weakest in the whole school. Everyone was discussing, but only Tang Xueer and Lin Xiaoyue were defending Yi Fan. But the voices of the two girls were still drowned out. You bald donkey, don't think that if you make a wig, you're not a bastard anymore. I'll lift up your skull now and let you wear a wig. Bald you ball, I'll send you to see the Buddha. Yi Fan also has a temper, he is a bald donkey, and Yang Wei must teach him some lessons today. Although he didn't dislike Western Buddhism, Yi Fan's face became even colder as he kept going bald. The great war between the two sides is on the verge of breaking out. Yang Wei sat on a horse and rushed towards Yi Fan. Each senior knight has their own mount. As a member of the Yang family, Yang Wei's cultivation as an intermediate knight still earned him the Yang family's Rome, which is a second-level monster that is very difficult to tame. Yi Fan's face froze. This is the first time he has met a knight with a war pet, even though he is facing an annoying guy. Yi Fan was prepared and did not underestimate his opponent. Yi Fan did not hold a wooden sword this time, but rather it was crafted by the blacksmith in Fanguang. With a 3-foot-long sword, facing the impact of the warhorse, one's gaze fixed, and the Tai Chi sword technique moved accordingly. Use softness to overcome hardness. Yi Fan is done. Mages and summoners are both physically weak and need to be in the distance to cast magic. Under such a close impact, it is considered light without missing arms or legs. Everyone seemed to see the ending of Yi Fan. Lin Xiaoyue closed her eyes in fear. If she insisted on not letting Yi Fan play, it would be better than being disabled. A gust of smoke scattered on the field. Tang Xueer clenched her fist tightly, and behind her were the 2 oxen. If Yi Fan is defeated, she decides to take action to protect him. After all, Yi Fan is her big spender, and Tang Xueer also doesn't know when her inner self has changed. Ha ha ha, this is the end of Yi Fan going against me. Yang Wei burst out laughing on the warhorse. They were in a life-and-death duel, although due to school reasons, most people would release water on stage. But he is the young master of the Yang family. Even if such a commoner is killed, his family will naturally handle the aftermath. What are you giggling about there? Yi Fan is speechless. Do you know that handing over the back to the enemy is the biggest mistake? How could this be possible? I just used my ultimate move, galloping on my horse. Having one's own warhorse, even a high-level knight cannot withstand the impact ability. You just happen to dodge by chance, come back. Yang Wei adjusted his position and rushed over again. Once, twice everyone looked surprised. This is a duel, more like a bullfight, okay. Yang Wei is a bull, and Yi Fan is a bullfighter. Many female students who watched the competition couldn't help but laugh. After the 10th impact, Yang Wei stopped and his warhorses were exhausted and panting. Do you know how to hide? You have the ability to take my sword. Yang Wei dismounted and stabbed with a sword before Yi Fan could answer. Swift swordsmanship. Yi Fan's eyes froze as his sword thrust towards his throat. If he were an ordinary person, he might have fallen. No wonder you can kill second-level monsters. Yi Fan used the Hongyuan Gong and the Tai Chi sword technique. Finally sweeping away the previously comical scene, this can be considered the true beginning of the battle. In the eyes of outsiders, how could this be so difficult to part with, and how could that summoner also use a sword? Is it double cultivation? Some geniuses are double cultivators, although the road is difficult, their strength is often stronger. Yi Fan is completely powerless. He is still too weak now. If he leaves school, he might be pushed up by some big shot. So the two of them fought for half an hour, and in Yi Fan's eyes, Yang Wei's moves were really full of flaws. Swift swordsmanship, only fast and unbreakable. But with your sword speed and that heavy sword, it's like a child fighting. I have been playing with him for half an hour now, so I shouldn't have been noticed by the old monster. My current self is still too weak. Sword breaks through the sky. Yi Fan let out a loud shout. Yang Wei was still using his swift swordsmanship, but he found himself powerless against Yi Fan's sword. This move was comprehended by Yi Fanrong after mastering Tai Chi sword technique. It can be considered his original work. As for the name of swordsmanship, I haven't figured it out yet. Yi Fan always believed that only his own strength is true. Even any famous swordsmanship is not the most suitable for oneself. Chapter 010. Hits the small, comes the old. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Yi Fan's sword overwhelmed the sky and earth. The sword energy surged around. At this moment, Yang Wei's eyes turned red. The veins on his face erupted, and his helmet was shattered by the blow. You forced me to do this. As children of a big family, if you lose to ordinary people outside. So he can't stand up in his family. And Yi Fan doesn't care about these things. He doesn't cause trouble, but he's also not afraid of it. Simply enduring will only bring endless torment. Open one punch to avoid 100 punches. Yang Wei's breath continued to rise, and his originally crimson eyes now completely turned black. The power of the seal inside him opened up another layer. I originally thought that my cultivation would reach the bottleneck and improve, but now I have no choice. He didn't expect that Yi Fan would kneel on one knee in front of everyone, pressing him down. If I had known, I should have had someone kill him in the first place. Yang Wei stood up, but there were some cracks on the ground where he was standing. Great, today will be my Yang Wei's battle to become famous. Yi Fan felt surprised, but he knew. This kind of forceful enhancement of strength has not been mastered by the other party, and there are also strong sequelae. If the other party doesn't stop in time, their future achievements may come to an end. Yang Wei knows, but he can't handle so much either. As long as you win this game, let your elders at home help you stabilize your state. And now he's going to kill Yi Fan. In the end, Yi Fan was still bounced off. Adjust your body shape and land steadily. Great, I originally wanted to save you a dog's life, but now I promise to turn you to ashes. Yi Fan's eyes were cold, and Yang Wei was already a dead person in his eyes. Although he had been deliberately making things difficult for Yi Fan in the past, now he has a murderous heart. Of course, Yi Fan cannot keep him, even if he becomes enemies with the Yang family. Moreover, Yi Fan knew that the heavenly palace he had built and the drawings he had provided were all coveted by outsiders. Since there are so many enemies, what is the little Yang family? Yi Fan adjusts his breathing, operates the Hongyuan Gong, and absorbs the spiritual energy of the surrounding heaven and earth. Since it is so, slay it with one sword. Breaking the sky. Kill. Two people were drinking at the same time, and Yi Fan's arms were numb from the shock. The fierce sword energy left scratches on his arms. But Yang Wei was unbearable, only to see that his knees couldn't support him, as if just a fallen leaf could make him fall to the ground. My hands were exploding into a mist of blood, and I was too weak to hold the sword in my hand. The outcome has been divided. Yang Wei lay on the ground, crying bitterly. Don't kill me. You can't kill me. If Yang Wei had some backbone, he might have let go of the person who was originally going to kill him. But now, it feels like a dead dog. You can't kill me. If you dare to kill me, my dad will definitely kill your whole family. As soon as these words were spoken, Yi Fan was furious. These guys with big families behind them dare to threaten themselves with the lives of their own families. It seems that no matter what, we will kill this kid today. With this kid's revenge mentality, keeping him may not be enough to let him go. Yi Fan raised his hand high. After all, this was his first time killing someone. On the stage of life and death, wealth and wealth are in heaven. After all, this is always a world of strong people, and even the school won't say much. After all, these rules are set by the school. When students have irreconcilable conflicts, they can be challenged as long as both parties agree that the school will not pay attention. Although he's just a waste, do you even want to move him? I saw a person slowly walking onto the stage, with a head of blue hair flying and a scent of fire elements wrapped around his body. Magician. Yi Fan felt the strong aura on the opponent's body, unable to explore their realm, at least the presence of a late-stage wizard or great wizard. Isn't it true that school wizards are rare, and many teachers are even senior apprentices? However, Yi Fan did not. Yang Wei was overjoyed. He is the young master of the Yang family, not the young master of the Yang family. It's because he also has an older brother, Yang Wei. Brother, help me, come on, help me kill him. What a waste, Yang Wei thought to himself, but Yang Wei is his own younger brother no matter what he says. He can bully himself, but outsiders will never allow him. Loud noise. Yi Fan put away his wooden sword and slapped Yang Wei. Yang Wei's originally bloody hands couldn't be lifted, and the bones in his legs were also broken. There's nothing I can do to block the slap from flying in. At this point, he had already fallen to the ground and vomited blood incessantly. You. Yang Wei was so angry that he couldn't speak. I am the youngest of the Yang family, the future head of the Yang family. And even though I had already made the other party stop, they dared to take action. This is definitely hitting his face. He is Yang Wei, a top student in the Department of Magic in his sophomore year, with a cultivation level of a great wizard. At the end of this year, he went to Haiqing University as an exchange student. The whole university, who doesn't know him, who dares not give him face. Not only because of his genius-like identity, no one dares to offend him, just the young master of the Yang family. I beat his brother hard in front of so many people today. If I don't stand up for this idiot today, anyone who sees him in the future will dare to mock him. Great, dare to challenge my Yang Wei's authority, you are the first one. Do you want to break the rules of the school? Bully the small with the big. The person standing up is Tang Xueer, and I just prepared to protect Yi Fan. That's just a competition between peers, after all, no one is on the stage of life and death compared to them. But now it's different. Since Yang Wei has stepped forward, he cannot stand idly by. It's Tang Xuejie, everyone look up on stage. Tang Xueer is not only the boss of Fan Guang Blacksmith, but also the school flower of the sophomore swordsman department. She is the most successful entrepreneur among the freshmen, and her strength is also remarkable. She is simply the goddess in the hearts of boys. Seeing Tang Xueer, many people also defended Yi Fan. That's right, Yang Wei's own skills are not as good as others. That's right, and Yi Fan was forced to do so. The opponent had already made a desperate move. If he didn't give it his all, he would have been killed by the opponent. Everyone in the audience was discussing, but no one took action. Yang Wei's face changed slightly, all of them were clowns who jumped over the bridge. Even if Tang Xueer and a seriously injured Yi Fan combined, they wouldn't be his opponents. But what angered him the most was that Tang Xueer was his fiancée A.E. This woman is actually helping outsiders at this moment. And every time I try to improve my relationship with her, this woman always keeps a distance from others. Now, in front of him, he wants to protect Yi Fan. Isn't this the young master of the Yang family? The second young master was beaten, and the young master came out. If you were beaten, wouldn't Uncle Yang also want to join in the fun?